What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30, not to mention 8.1% APY on invested cash. The offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, now let's talk about the markets. So, as far as SPY is going, we have a tendency making these moves up, then rejecting, up and then rejecting over and over again. That's what the trend has been like so far, as we still look very heavy. Now, we'll see if we make a move up and then reject, or if we just reject from here, but this depends on some data. Today is Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. We just had Logan giving a speech from the Fed, but I just want to mention that at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's 30 minutes after the stock market opens today, we have consumer confidence coming out, not to mention the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index, manufacturing shipments, and the services revenue report. And then we have more services data at 10:30 a.m., but especially at 10 a.m., I do expect some volatility to be coming once this data is released. And once consumer confidence comes out, we'll see if that leads to another rug pull in the market or if the market bounces. Just be very, very patient with this. And if we get weak manufacturing numbers, that could drag us even lower. And I think the market's going to be waiting for this for the first 30 minutes. So just keep that in mind, guys. If you're day trading or something, don't be surprised if you see a big move at that time. And that could be when the market starts to see more volatility. So be ready. We also had earnings come out for the Home Depot. Unfortunately, they ended up, despite the fact that they beat on EPS and despite the fact that they had good earnings, unfortunately, their guidance was a little bit weaker. They are expecting total sales to go up to about 2.8%, which is still not really enough to wow investors. That's why the share price is still down. So good earnings, but bad guidance. That's why it is in this position. We also have AMC announcing earnings after close. Now, keep in mind that tomorrow we have Lowe's and Nvidia. Nvidia alongside these other AI stocks, but Nvidia is going to be the big one because this will be a make or break for the markets, and this will help determine which way we're about to go, if the market's about to get a bigger rug pull or not. We'll see about that. For now, there's been a lot of talk about how big tech have been selling off. We had more earnings coming out from Hims and Hers Health, especially after the fact that they ended up beating a lot of their revenue expectations, but their gross margins were a little bit disappointing despite that. And then lastly, there's some news about Donald Trump. He made a very important announcement yesterday that he wants to go forward with the Canadian Mexican tariffs. I'll talk more about him a little bit later, but for now, let's talk about the charts. So the trend is bearish on SPY, making lower highs and lower lows. When you have a wick like this, typically what happens is you want to see like a positive reaction first before we continue to start, this downtrend, right? Before it continues. For now, we do look bearish. We'll see if we push up first before we end up coming back down closer to like this main support here. But just watch our main support at 594 to 595. Our main resistance is at 599.5, our 200 EMA. My gut tells me if we do try some kind of rebound move, it might still fail as we remain heavy. We might just stay in our range for now and then just wait and see what the big reactions once the data comes out. That's the main thing the market's looking for. We're still on a downtrend on SPY. Could be a small move up before it continues to fall, but that's what the pattern has been, at least thus far. Same thing with the QQQ. Now we have our 200 EMA at 522. And we have this main supports at 516. Excuse me, I think it's possible we try to push for the low 520s, but if we reject it, we could be coming back down depending on these factors. So we'll just have to see which way we end up going. So just keep that in mind. For ES, it's the same thing. Now, if you look at ES, okay, we had this rejection. We tried to break through this and we rejected again. We're below our key trend line, but I think it's very possible that we attempt to try to push a little bit into the low 6,000s. We'll see if we get a rejection off this or not, though. But it is very possible we try to push a bit closer to the trend line, and then we'll see if we get some kind of rejection move. That's what I'm essentially eyeing, at least looking at ES. Same thing with NQ. Essentially, we have this downtrend, as you guys could see. Notice that we would reject over and over again off this blue trend line. We tried to break through this only to come back down, so it's still showing some weakness technically. Now, keep in mind that if we do get some kind of rebound move towards 21,500, this is going to become our resistance. So this level right over here, and there's always the possibility we just come right back down because every time we've tried to push, we reject. Unless we hold above 21,500, we are still looking like we might kind of push and reject just for now. And I think we're still waiting for Nvidia's earnings to cause a much larger move. Bitcoin is dumping. We'll have to see if it could reclaim 90,000. Otherwise, we just continue to remain bearish and we could be heading for 85,000 again very soon. For Nvidia, it's kind of heavy this morning. We do have an inverse head and shoulders like pattern, but I think there's a very, very good chance that we could reject right here and continue to fall. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up dipping a little bit more, especially if we end up losing the 130 area. And then we'll see if we bounce again. The main support is going to be around this like 126, 127 area. Our main resistance is going to be up here around 132. We're kind of stuck in between these levels. Might dip first and we'll see if we bounce or not, but keep that in mind. We could be dipping towards 128 and we'll see if some kind of rebound comes. I do think that Nvidia is showing some weakness, at least in the mornings. There's a good chance it does dip a little bit. And this inverse head and shoulders could still pan out. So that depends on earnings. We're still waiting for that for the much larger move. We look a little bit heavy this morning, so might push and dip at least as time goes on. Same thing with Tesla, guys. Looks kind of heavy this morning. I do think we're going to gap down. But notice every time we bounce, we're just rejecting. So there's a much larger downtrend, regardless of if we get a small bounce or not. There's strong support between 320 and 325. We might retest that and see if there's some kind of like bounce. So if we come back down here, we'll have to see if there's like a rebound move, and if that leads to another rejection for us to dip lower. I'll be watching this very, very closely. So watch this support right here. We might retest this, and we'll see how buyers end up reacting right over there. So there could be some more downside coming to Tesla. For Apple, we need to get back above 248. Otherwise, we could be dipping for like 245. So just be careful with that. For Coin, we could attempt to retest 220 to 225, and then we could reject again. It's still technically on a downtrend, so just keep that in mind. Amazon may attempt to get close to 215, then reject again. We'll have to see about that. It's a very, very key level. I could see a tiny little bounce this morning, but then we'll see how it reacts to our data. Meta may also try to retest 675. It came very close to our targets. So 670 and 675, 674, excuse me, could be retested. We'll see if we reject. Microsoft is very flat right now, might be dipping to the low 400s, and Google could also be dipping to like 180 and 178. With that being said, guys, the market is looking weak. Could rebound a tiny bit in the morning. We'll see if we get a rejection again. Every time we rebound, we have rejected so far, but that's going to depend on the reaction we get at 10 o'clock a.m. So I'm expecting a big move at 10 a.m., guys. So get ready for volatility. We'll see what happens with the consumer confidence and manufacturing numbers. So get ready. With that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. I will be back with another update in just a couple of hours. So we'll see how the numbers end up looking. I hope for the best. I wish you all the best. And I'll be back with another update very, very soon. Thank you for listening. Have a good one, and peace out.